Ryerson Ram's Leadership Development Program Debrief. So if you're watching this, hopefully it means that you've gone through all the content and all the curriculum for all of LDP and that you finished. So if you have finished, not just going through the content, but also completing all the tasks, congratulations, good for you. Just a few things I want to touch on before kind of let you go for the rest of the summer. One is just a review of what we've covered this summer in LDP. So one is the idea of leadership. And in week one, different people sharing different ideas about leadership and even different leadership processes. One of the things I want to stick with you is that leadership is action. It is something that you do. And probably something that you should be doing every day as a person on this team. On our team, you have different domains where you can exercise your leadership. So it could be in practice and in games, which is where we really want to see a little bit more active leadership. But it can also be off the court on the team bus, team meetings. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities to be an active leader and always be looking to serve those around you by helping the team to be a little bit better every day. Next, we touched on legacy. We talked about what's the impact that you want to have long term on this program. What do you want Carly to say about you at your seniors night? Okay, get some clarity on that, and then start working towards that. Okay, if you don't know what the future looks like, it's kind of the future becomes a target, right? If you don't have a target, it's kind of hard to hit a target that doesn't exist. So create a target for yourself for the future, and then now start to work towards that with action. Spend some time helping you understand the idea of pebbles, and we're going to have pebbles throughout the season. It's part of working collaboratively on a team with other people. There's going to be a lot of little pebbles and a pebble is something that is little, at least at the beginning. It's seemingly insignificant. It's a minor irritant, but it can become a bigger deal later. I would say that there were some pebbles last year that were still unresolved at the end of the year, and that maybe became big issues when we needed them to not exist anymore the most, if that makes sense. So the idea of identifying pebbles and then putting them on the table so that we can address them and discuss them and see if we can move past them. We spent some time on mindfulness, and mindfulness, if nothing else from that, I want you to just capture the idea of building space between stimuli and your reaction. And George Mumford mentioned living in the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm is that calm place where, yes, there's chaos going on around you, but you find this calmness where you can now decide how you want to respond, and that's your response ability, your ability to respond, and you respond based on your intentions, and your intention should connect you back with your legacy, right? What's the impact I want to have on my team? But to find that space, to find that eye in the storm, there's a practice that you've got to start to activate for yourself. You've got to start to, maybe it's through different breathing, maybe it's through yoga, maybe it's through just quiet walks. But find some quiet, find some silence, find some breathing, so that you can get to that place and respond instead of react. Spend some time on giving constructive feedback, and in particular, we gave you the OIA process, so observation, impact, and action, and really just wanted to give you a tool that you can use, as opposed to, I feel like a lot of the times people struggle with giving constructive feedback because they just don't know how to do it. How do I do it where it doesn't upset someone? How do I do it so that I'm getting my message across? How do I do it so that it's effective? And there are many different best practices. This is just one. And I would start with this, but practice it and figure out how you can make it work for you. But always for observation, so sharing the observation. No judgment on that observation, just sharing, this is what I observed, this is what I saw, this is what I heard, this is how I feel. I is impact, so the impact that you believe. So I believe that this behavior could have this impact on you personally, and I believe that this behavior could have this impact on the team. So personal impact and team impact. And then finally, action. What's going to be the action step? So a question to your teammate could be, what are you going to do to move past this? What are you going to do to be better at this? And if your teammate is struggling to come up with solutions-focused, self-directed action steps, well, then maybe you can suggest a few that you've got in your back pocket. But if we're going to identify pebbles and we're going to find that space between stimuli and response, stimuli and reaction, to practice our intention, well, giving constructive feedback is an important part of that. Finally, the final week was on building your leadership practice. So oftentimes, and this is based on what's shared with me, is that we move into a place of passive leadership. So it's, yeah, we understand what we should do, but we don't do it in the moment. And sometimes there's a trigger. Maybe it's in practices, something about in a team environment, I'm afraid to step out of my comfort zone and share what needs to be shared. Maybe it's to a certain person. Maybe it's on the court in games. But figure out what's your trigger. Okay, what is your trigger? What is that trigger that makes you move into passive leadership? Then it becomes about, well, what was your old behavior? And now moving forward, what do you want your new behavior to be? So wanted to give you an opportunity to build your leadership practice. And you can use that type of a mechanism for anything that you want to change. But it's a bit of change management. And I hope that all of the curriculum from this summer helps you. But here's the important thing. You got to practice it. Okay? So practice it with your family. Practice it with your place of work this summer. Practice it with your friends, but practice it. You'll make some mistakes, which is part of growth mindset and the process of learning. You'll make some mistakes. You'll have some failures, but also you'll be able to now go back to the drawing board and say, okay, you know what? This didn't work because of this. If I tweak it this way, now I get better results. And you'll just continuously get better at it. Okay? Look forward to connecting with you guys at training camp and working with you throughout the season. I'm out.